Baddie.
Stephen.
Organic gardening.
What about it?
Well, that is the topic of today's conversation.
The garden's organic.
The garden's organic.
Organic's gardens.
Organic gardening. Gardening organic.
Organics.
Garden culture review podcast.
What's in the garden that's organic?
217. Everything that's in the garden is organic, isn't it?
Exactly.
It is. We're going to have a good conversation today, Baddie.
Yeah.
I don't think you're pro-organic. You might be interested to hear my opinions. We haven't really had a pre-discussion about this one, have we?
No.
Normally have a little chat, see what each other's thinking, but just straight into it today. Well, Coatsy, I think we'll put the intro straight in here because we're going to talk. We're going to talk about the last couple of weeks. You haven't heard from us for a couple of weeks and explain why. So get yourself the cup of tea, the coffee, the cold drink, the biscuits. Barry, make sure you've got your biscuits.
I'm on a diet, mate.
And we'll get straight into it. See you in a minute.
All good? Ready to go? Turn my voice up a little bit. Oh, I've got everyone watching, the whole family.
Are you ready to go? Are you built a beer in the house that I built, in the booth that I built?
I know people tune in every Sunday to listen, but even when business is good, we still manage to do the podcast.
So, Barry, how have the last 2 weeks been for you?
Boss.
Really?
Yeah, great.
You've not been well?
I've been a little bit under the weather, but it's not COVID. That's the fucking main thing.
Well,
mate.
we've all been a little bit under the weather, haven't we?
I think there's a bit
Sniffles,
of a bug going on.
cold, headaches, tired, just everything. But we haven't had a fever. We haven't had a cough.
And we're still here.
But you got to be sensible with these things. When Barry wasn't well, I wasn't sitting next to him. When I wasn't well, Barry wasn't sitting next to me. And there's been some good stuff going on. Should we talk about this yet? Or should we leave that?
No, let's leave.
Leave it till the cameras come back on.
Leave it till the cameras come back on.
Okay.
We can do a little tour for them.
Yeah, we'll do a little tour. So make sure you stay tuned. Hopefully podcast 220. That'd be a nice one to start on, wouldn't it?
Be a nice one.
It would. But it's Garden Culture Review today. Organic gardening since forever. It's the latest garden culture magazine that's out. And you can go and pick up your copy from any good grow shop. But first, we have to give thanks to the partners.
Yeah, man.
Hello, partners.
Hello.
I know you're all listening. That was a good Lionel Richie impression there.
Like that.
Is it the partners you're looking for?
No, I've already got them.
Oh, good answer. Kick us off, Basil.
First, but not least is the right word. Last but not least, no, it's wrong.
No, we need to do the first one first.
You know what we're like at the moment? AutoPot.
Ooh.
I'm a big fan at the minute.
Oh, yeah.
Big fan.
Why?
Because you can go organic in it now.
You can.
Yeah,
Oh,
see, you like that shit?
Yeah.
You
You
like
pulled that one out the
'cause
bag,
you've got the
didn't you?
new one. What is it, 5 mil pipe? And
AutoPots have got a bigger hole.
AutoPot's got a massive hole.
Or if you
And
want to
can
put it...
whatever you want in it.
Really?
Yeah, anything you want.
Even the brown gooey stuff?
That fucking tarmac will go through this hole, mate.
Jesus.
Hey,
So to put it politely, they have a bigger aperture.
bigger aperture.
Yeah, 5 mil.
5 mil. And it's Bosch.
It is. You want to follow
And they are
AutoPot?
leading the way forward with the 5 mil pipe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the
World's #1 gravity fed system
It
with
is
big
indeed.
pipe.
with big pipe, with any pipe.
So, are they doing away with the old pipe?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Oh, they're still going to produce it and supply it for
If you
people
want
who
it.
haven't got the new valves.
Yeah.
But that they'll eventually phase that out, I
Yeah.
imagine, when everyone upgrades
I can imagine
the new
everyone
valves.
will want to jump on the new one,
Yeah.
so they'll replace everything with the new stuff.
But it is new valve.
Yeah.
Jason's been growing organics in it. You want to follow them on Instagram and YouTube to keep up to date with the organic trials.
Yeah.
This is an organic garden culture review. Perfect system to go.
Let's not lose sight of where we're going now. We're naming the partners.
We are.
Because without
How-
them,
How could I keep it organic? How can I keep it organic? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go with CANNA.
Yeah.
Bio the bio range.
Yeah.
So it's an organic episode. CANNA, I've got the bio CANNA, which isn't shouted about enough, but we should do because it is vegan and vegetarian friendly.
Yeah, man. I like that.
Is it vegetarian friendly though? Because they use plant matter and it's like harming the plants, isn't it?
No, I don't think that intense with it.
No. So it's just vegan friendly. No animal products.
Yeah.
Nothing, no fish hydrolysate.
All plant-based.
All plant-based, fully organic, works wonders. And it works wonders in the AutoPot system as well. So there's a double hit there.
Next, I'm going to go with SANlight.
SANlight. Now, is it organic light or is it chemical light?
I think if I was to say anything, it's obviously chemical light because it's man-made light.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's the closest you're going to get to organic, natural light with
it's so
all
efficient.
the colours and it's so efficient. Yeah, and it's so efficient.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we can class SANlight as an organic LED.
We can. I don't think it would be put on paper, but we
No,
can.
yeah.
Just because of the efficiency of it and
Some people would
the
actually say
spectrum
that
of it or
sunlight is
whatever.
chemical.
Is that the right word, the spectrum of it, Stephen?
Yes.
The
Full
different
spectrum.
colours, full spectrum. So
Yeah.
it's producing more of what the sun would actually
Spot
produce
on.
in your garden in the organics.
Exactly.
In your AutoPot with your bio.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but
man.
some people would say that the light produced from the sun's actual chemical because chemical energy.
So either
because
way,
it's
we're not going to
hydrogen,
win. Either way, we're not going to win.
hydrogen, helium, fusion.
But unfortunately,
fusion
then people
creates heat and
can't
light.
change that.
No, that is just
So,
there for the next billion
It
years.
is what it is. So the next best thing is SANlight, which is organic.
Next, we have can filters.
I know what you're going to say.
Do you?
What's the most organic in the range?
The carbon.
Carbon.
Yeah. Fully
What's the most organic fan?
the Q-Max.
Yeah, why?
Because it's the most efficient.
Yeah,
And
why?
it's
In
quieter.
what way it's most efficient?
Uses less electricity.
Exactly, and
which
that's
is
what
organic.
this wheel needs.
Yes, less organic.
Yeah.
I like it.
If they made it out of plastic, I'd be over the fucking moon.
Baddie, you don't have to give me hand signals. I was struggling there, and Baddie helped me out a little bit. So thank you very much for helping out. He
That
was
was
like,
a joke, you know, what I said there.
was it?
If they make it out of plastic, I'd be over the moon. Well, obviously I wouldn't, would I?
No,
Because it's plastic.
plastic is plastic.
Come on, mate. I
Killing
was waiting for
fish
you
in
to
the
say,
sea.
what are you on about, Pa?
No, I just thought to give you a bit of credit because I was wondering where you were going with the organic fan. I was like, yeah. So Baddie helped me out on that one. Go on, Basil. What's next?
Yeah, who can I say? Who can I say?
Are you picking between the two, and you're going to try and squeeze something organic out the last two, aren't you?
I hope garden cultures is like
Organic paper.
organic paper, like used by Grohl or something. I hope he does. And if you
Recycled.
don't, you're going to have to now, mate.
Well, there's a good argument or debate to be had about that. We'll have that in a minute. But Garden Culture is also a partner. The
And
whole
that's-
episode is about them.
Yeah.
We have BudBox.
Yeah.
Now, how would we make them organic? Well,
Dun, 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 diddle-a-le, diddle-a-le.
I've got the answer.
Go on.
That's such a good quality tent that even though it's
When
some
you-
parts are plastic,
When you buy it once, you never have to buy it again.
exactly, all the
So-
poles are metal, recyclable. The sheeting is made from bits of plastic, but you only have to buy it once. Yeah, because it's such good quality.
So you're not going to have to bin it after a year, then get another
Exactly.
bin it after a year, and that waste
Exactly.
going away. Yeah.
And now you can say,
We've
yeah,
done fucking right here with these partners and their organic
we
shit,
have.
haven't we?
We've pulled them out the shit a bit, haven't we?
man,
Yeah.
we use it organic. He's
Yeah.
put your fucking
Organic
Instagram
certified, NPK Live organic partners.
in.
And here's your saying, Basil. Last but by no means least, Gavita.
Yeah.
Now, Gavita light up organic crops. So they grow organic foods. So there you go. They're organic.
So even though it might not be an organic light, it's helping the organic industry. So
Yeah.
these people eating organically, it's supplemented with Gavita.
And they used
So
to
they
grow
do well.
the grass on football fields.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
That's a bit pointless though, isn't it? That's
It is.
like
It's got nothing to do
multi-million
with-
pound fucking shite.
It's got
We're on
nothing
about
to do with
growing veg,
organics.
nothing to do with organics.
Well, the 1000-watt double-ended is the most efficient double-ended light.
Yeah.
So efficiency again.
All
Organic
I'm
meat.
waiting for now is someone to bring out, because what's our shop full of? The shelving range.
Liquid nutrients.
And what are they in?
plastic bottles.
Plastic, you're doing something wrong and you're missing the boat, mate, because someone needs to bring out
Arranging milk cartons.
Is it bio-friendly? Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm a bit shit at this.
Bio-friendly.
Someone needs to bring out a bit of a bio-friendly packaging.
That can just be squashed down.
Yeah.
Well, we often make predictions on this show. We've said that here first. I wonder who's going to be first to market. Maybe CANNA bio range.
Might do it.
Right? Maybe one of the organic nutrient lines out there.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the
Someone
minerals.
needs to do it, because know what I've noticed about this industry. Once one person does it, everyone jumps on the boat. That's including copying people's shit.
Yeah.
That they do it. You know what I mean? Someone will bring out something what's marvellous, and then every cunt jumps on and drives the price right down. And it's still a good product, but it's just a copy. But let's hope now someone brings out a bit of... this industry gets a bit of stigma, doesn't it, for being what it is?
Carbon neutral.
Yeah. Let's hope someone now... Let's try and turn it around a little bit. And, everyone goes on about organic and, it's efficient and it's this, but then everyone's feeding the plant through plastic bottles. So...
Let's do something new.
Let's do something new. Let's bring something new to the industry. Let's have some,
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say then there's a good argument. There's a good debate. What is that noise?
What noise? Is it this? Listen.
Oh, do you know what it is? This is a new one, isn't it? I've all my phones on silent. I've got my laptop here, and I'm getting a call off our mate Baddie, because he was on his lunch before. He couldn't take my call. Well, now I'm on podcast. I can't take your call, mate. You just have to wait. There's a good sort of debate here. I had this with Eric. Now, there was an old magazine called Hydromag, and they used to publish their magazine on recycled paper. You could feel it. It was gritty. It wasn't glossy. It was a nice it was a good magazine. Eric puts his onto nice, shiny, glossy, high quality printed paper. Now, when we've talked about it, he's like, I love the organic idea. I love the recycled paper idea. But our whole ethos is to get information to people. And the way we get information to people for free, and the magazine's free, is by having people advertising the magazine.
So someone doesn't want to advertise?
Yeah, on shit paper. They don't want to put their lovely designed graphic onto shitty paper. They want lovely, high quality gloss paper. So there's a bit of a debate there. I haven't really got any opinions. I think it's good that you make your magazine, or used to make your magazine, on recycled paper. But I also think maybe it's not available anymore. Maybe that's why it's not available, because the partners or the people who advertised the magazine wanted the adverts on better paper.
Well, maybe then people need to take a look at themselves.
Yeah.
Is that your phone vibrating on the table?
It is.
Well, take it off the table and put it between your legs or something on a cushion.
It's the web team trying to get in touch.
Tell the web team to piss off. Phone Darren, tell him to stop ringing Steve back to back.
You say he's on podcast.
He's on podcast. Tell Darren and Aidan that Stephen's on podcast, the casing the life out of him. Please, mate.
Yeah. It's one of them, isn't it?
I'd be willing to say, why not just give it one run and see what they think.
Well, the American edition, we've got the two editions in front of us. We've got the UK edition, which seems to be really glossy. Listen to that. Glossy. And the American edition, the US Canada edition, seems to be different. I feel both magazines. One's definitely small at the American, but open the paper and see what you think.
Sizes as
well.
The
different sizes.
Why are they different sizes?
Probably something to do with the amount that you can get on a pallet or something like that. But feel the paper in between. Do you think there's a difference, or is it the same type of paper?
It's different.
Yeah. In-depth review of the Garden Culture magazine. Well, yeah, interesting. We will be getting Eric on the podcast again soon to talk, maybe on the next Garden Culture review. Oh, we'll have to do the next Garden Culture review because it's a big one. Don't know if we can talk about it, but it's a big edition. The whole industry will be looking at the next edition. So we will really look forward to doing the review of that magazine.
What is it, tell me? What is it, the best or something?
It's the best.
Is it?
It's the best.
Have we got any ideas of who's the best?
Not at all. No.
Won't
Eric won't even tell me.
Oh,
I've even offered to pay him. and he won't tell me. He said, you're going to have to get the magazine, and so will everyone else. So we flick open the magazine, the couple of good ads. You know what we used to do? We used to do best ad, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, I do like BioBiz's ad. That's still one of my favourites. What else have we got? We've got the product reviews. So they're always good to get into. So you can see the new products that are out on the market, a little bit of a description, see if it suits you and your growers. They've got the starter kits, the TA, Terra Aquatica, which is the new brand of GHE. So don't get confused. It's the TA is just GHE rebranded. Still the good, same old ingredients. First sort of mini article is the Feed Yourself UK. It's the new, remember in August last year when we had the Homegrown Expo, it wasn't the Homegrown Expo. It was it, you know what, there's that many, it's the Homegrown Expo, wasn't it? Well, they've rebranded, they've changed what they're about, and it's now called Feed Yourself UK. You can follow them on Instagram. I think that's
better than Home Expo.
Homegrown Expo, yeah. Feed Yourself.
Yeah, Feed Yourself. That's
a bit more catchy.
It's just, it is what it is. It's,
yeah,
Feed yourself,
aren't you? If you're on Facebook, it's Feed Yourself UK. Go and give them a follow. It's all about urban gardens, vegetable patches, the grow room, vertical gardens, rooftop gardens, containers, greenhouses, balcony gardens, anywhere that you can grow some fruit and veg. These will show you how to do it. They're doing giveaways. They're doing the expo, which is going to be next year. Fingers crossed, all this shit goes away and we can all have humans next to each other again. But that will be a good event to go to. And there'll be every person, every product, every stand help you understand what you need to grow your own. So have a little check out that article. First up, we've got Anne Gibson on organic gardening. Now, we used to sort of go in depth on these articles, but I think what I want to do is just give people a taste of what the article's about and see for themselves if they're interested in it. Now, I've made some points in the magazine. This is from Anne Gibson. She said, her dad used to teach her about using grass clippings as mulch, rake up the chicken manure and sawdust from their coop, collect garden prunes, ash and kitchen scraps, put it into compost, use that like a closed loop system to grow healthy plants in a healthy soil. And that's the basis of organic growing that she used from a young age. Now that's great. My big thing, the big question is, can you garden organic on a global scale?
Like that?
Yeah.
No.
That's your backyard. That's what you can do for your own herbs.
Yeah, that's your Feed Yourself Home Expo kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
in the real world, to feed the masses organic, you couldn't do that.
No. There's a little, I don't know if it's on this article, but there's a bit of a fact, I think it's on the next article actually, about how much land is used to grow organically and the percentage of food that it produces. I couldn't fact check that, so I don't know. But the person who wrote that article knows his beans, and I'd imagine it is right, but we'll get to that on the next article. But the whole thing about growing organic is for the outdoor gardens and for the people who listen to this podcast for sort of the politics and the debates. Do you think it can be, you could grow all of our food organically and feed the world?
No.
I don't think you could either. Because
I think everyone could do their own individual.
But you'd never be able to feed yourself.
But like you've just said then, if you're growing on a balcony and you live in an apartment, where are you getting your grass clippings from? Where are you getting that from? Where are you getting this from?
And And what do you grow? Do you just grow herbs? Do you supplement?
To be honest with you, the way it's moving on now, the bio range, CANNA, BioBiz, there's enough organic ranges out there now that are top quality that you can buy and use.
Ready done. Yeah. So it's for the real hardcore people that would do all the chicken sawdust, ashes.
People who've got big gardens and
time to invest.
Yeah, time to invest in it and do it.
But the organic feed range.
When you say time to invest, I wouldn't say time to invest. If you're growing organic in your own garden, you obviously love your garden. Yeah. So that becomes your time. Your spare time you've got, you would spend out there. So I wouldn't say so much it's time to invest, but you just might not have them facilities. You could have a backyard, an apartment, or whatever. Yeah. And if you're in them, if you're unfortunate not to have a garden for whatever reason, then you should just buy organic feeds.
So bringing it into indoors for a second, because
the only thing that, like I've just, and I'm going to say it again, is if these people who do want to feed themselves and they've only got a backyard or they've got a small garden and they can't afford, or not that they can't afford, they just haven't got the means of compost bins and stuff like that, they're buying organic feed. What are they buying it in, Steve?
Plastic bottles.
Plastic fucking bottles.
Mm.
It's no good.
What do we want? Milk cartons?
We want milk cartons. No, biodegradable fucking
Plastic.
cardboard or plastic or something like that. If it costs extra money, the way I look at it, you know, the organic gardeners, they're not big scale growers.
No.
They're growers for themselves.
Yeah.
So they're willing to spend on organic product.
Yeah.
So if you're a big scale gardener, he's probably using mineral feeds. Your organic gardener is a unique gardener. So he probably will spend that little bit more money, even though most organic gardeners that I've found don't really want to spend any money. If they have to spend money on feed, why wouldn't you give them to it? Why are you giving organic feed in a fucking plastic bottle? I know there's the debate of life, fucking, it's sitting on the shelves in shops and stuff like that, but
there's got to be a solution.
There's got to be a solution to this.
You've got, well, your two big ones. You've got CANNA, the biggest nutrient company in the UK and definitely up there in the world. And you've got BioBiz, probably as a standalone nutrient company who just do organics. I believe BioBiz are the biggest organic, exclusive organic nutrient company in the world.
Surely they should invest back if they're the biggest in the world and they've made money from the people. Surely they should invest back into now. Not at a big rate where it's got to be done tomorrow, but start looking at other avenues of looking into better bottling.
Whether it's reinforced. See, the milk cartons you get now, they feel like cardboard on the outside, but on the inside they've got that slither of plastic, haven't they, that keep content
But it's
fresh.
biodegradable plastic.
Biodegradable, yeah.
So you need to start going down them avenues.
And properly. And maybe the mineral companies will follow suit.
Hopefully. Who wants to see fucking 10-litre plastic fucking drums and 25-litre plastic drums?
It's disgusting when you see it just on the road. You don't see farmers get rid of their IBCs, don't they?
They're reused. Yeah. The IBCs that the farmers used, the made ones, they're reused.
And it is horrible seeing all the plastics just on the side of the road, and then the plastics in the sea, killing the fish, all kinds. So for indoor growers, because I know that the vast majority of our listeners are indoor growers, then growing organic for you, AutoPots, the new valve, the CANNA Bio range, you can grow 100% organic indoors with a system now. It doesn't have to be hand-fed. And the reason that you'd grow organic is because the vast majority of opinion is that organic grown produce is better quality tasting, better aromas, better flavours. Everything. It's just, you sometimes take a little bit of hit on the yield because the plant has to do a lot of work to be able to uptake the nutrients. But the vast majority of people's opinions is it does give you better quality, flavour, aromas, all that sort of stuff. So if you want to grow organic indoors, they're your main reasons why. But I would like to debate with people. I wonder if there's an organic grower out there that's like, nah, put me up against any mineral grower, I'll get the same yield.
There probably is.
So a few of the benefits of organic gardening that Anne's put in. Minimum risk of toxic chemical residues in your food, garden, soil, environment, pets and wildlife. That's for outdoors. But for indoors, if you're feeding minerals, what does it put into your plant? It comes back to the PGR debate. When you grow organic, you know that there's no harmful PGRs in there. There's no chemical synthetic PGRs. When you grow mineral, there should be the ones on the bottles, but sometimes there's not. You could be putting potentially harmful PGRs, but don't get it sort of twisted. When you grow organic and you grow mineral, if the plant could speak and somehow tell you how it feels at the root zone, microbes in the plant's rhizosphere breaks down the organic nutrients into ions. And that's all that mineral is. It's already in the ionic form. So what the plant takes up is exactly the same whether it's organic or mineral. It's just a different process of how they get to take it up. So don't get that sort of twisted. The plant just sees ions. They just eat ions. So the plant sees no difference really. The other benefits are fresh, nutrient-rich, flavoursome food with optimum nutrition to build a healthy immune system. Really? I question that one. I question nutrient-rich. I don't question flavoursome, but there's a big debate on that. With optimum nutrition to build a healthy immune system. I disagree with a lot of that. Based on the science, now people disagree saying science can't prove it or we know it to be true, but you've got to go with the science. There are very, very few good scientific articles that say minerally grown plants and organically grown plants, the organic grown plants are higher in nutritional content. Now, if you take one thing, you might take spinach, grown organically versus minerally grown spinach, you might find slightly higher vitamin C content in the organic grown one because of the microbes that are used and other things. But on the whole, you're not going to get higher nutrition quality. You, in some cases, you get lower nutrition in organically grown produce because the plant can't get what it needs, whether it needs a bit of NPK to get its vitamin C, can't break it down quick enough. The vitamin C is just not there. So the flavonoids, the terpenes that you might get in spinach that create the flavors, you might get better flavor. But even that's up for debate. There's plenty of articles and research that shows on a blind study where people are given a plate of organic and a plate of traditionally grown produce or minerally grown produce, I should say, the vast majority of people couldn't tell the difference. Yeah. And that's on a blind taste test. So I debate that sort of stuff, and I would like to get someone on the show who disagrees with us and we can have a debate on it. The next point she said, there's a connection to nature, fresh air, sunlight and exercise, improving physical and mental health. That point, definitely 100% agree with that. But it's not grown organically. It's just gardening in general. Yeah. When you garden, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? Or we might have even been on the podcast, when you garden or do a task that requires a lot of brain power, then, and you might not think garden takes brain power, but it takes concentration. You switch off. So exactly. You've got
5 worries in your head, and when you're doing a task,
when you're potting up,
them worries have gone, and you're thinking about something else. So I debate that.
Yeah,
because I think if you had a worry in your head and you went out shopping and you walk through town and you're looking, you need whatever, and you everything's gone out your head because you're only focusing on one thing now. So
it's just that gardening tends to be outdoors.
Gardening's peaceful. You're outside with the plants and the birds fucking tweeting and all that. Yeah, it's fucking lovely, and that it is.
Much better than going shopping.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with that. The connection to nature is good.
Yeah.
Right. She said that save money by being more sustainable, self-reliant, reducing the need to buy food and garden supplies by recycling nutrients from your kitchen and garden. I was like, do you save money? Is it organic produce? If you buy it, is more expensive, but it's just the time that you invest, the money to get to where you need to be to grow organic produce. I'd say probably there's a big startup cost, but further down the line, probably save a little bit of money. But there's definitely a lot of benefits to growing organically. Now, she said she's put out some key organic gardening principles. The first one I really liked: feed the soil rather than the plants. Oof. Build. So she goes on to explain soil high in organic matter, continuous layer of mulching and lots of organic amendments creates nutrient-rich, moisture-holding environment for plants and soil microorganisms to thrive. So I think she's right on that one. If you have an amazing soil, they call it hot soil, full of nutrients, microbes, good water hold capacity, then your plants should just naturally thrive rather than trying to add a little bit of extra nitrogen because the plants look green. If you have an abundance of nutrients in your soil, your plants should grow healthily anyway, shouldn't it? So do you agree with that? Feed the soil rather than the plants?
I do and I don't. I do and I don't.
Depends on the crop.
Because what happens if you do see a deficiency?
Next time you make better amendments to the soil? Or...
But what about this time with the plants in it? So you leave that plant deficient?
Yeah, you've got to add instant amendments, haven't you?
Exactly.
So it's one of those, if you do get a deficiency grown organically, it does take a longer time to fix it.
Yeah, I agree. 75% to say, yeah, you should get your soil where it is fully rich and everything is there. And
yeah. It's like keeping the fish, isn't it? Yeah. People that keep fish say, don't keep fish, you keep water.
Yeah.
So back in the day, koi carp breeding, that's what all the top breeders used to say. If you have amazing water with good pH values, good pH levels, good water temperature, then you're going to have healthy fish. You don't keep fish, you keep water. Could be the same with soil. Point number 2 for us said, select plants wisely. Choose varieties that thrive in your climate and locate them in microclimates that suit their need. Sun, shade, moist or dry soil, protected from the wind, cold or heat. Plant in season. Now, how do we do this indoors? Select plants wisely is just an outdoor thing. When you're indoors, you control your environment.
So you can grow whatever you want.
Control the wind, control the temperatures. You should be anyway.
You are indoors.
You are Mother Nature.
Yeah, Mother Nature.
So growing organics, you don't need to select your plants wisely because you're going to control everything. It's a big plus factor
but outside,
of growing indoors.
You've got no control, so yeah.
Choose your plants for what conditions you're in.
Yeah.
And focus on biodiversity. Healthy organic garden is an ecosystem with a wide variety of plants, insect and soil life. Again, indoors, you're controlling everything. You shouldn't have any pests. You should potentially have some predators. Predators. Now, this is a good point to make right now. People have been buying predator mites for spider mites and thrips and aphids and all kinds after they've got them. What you need to be doing is buying the predators as a preventative, because predators take time to breed, to get going, to multiply, and by that time, spider mites especially can multiply much quicker than the predators. If you get your predators in before anything else, then they're already on the attack. As soon as the first bit of spider mite lands, they're on them, and they haven't got time to multiply. So predator mites, if you're indoors, use them as preventative. They do work as a cure as well, but it just takes a lot longer.
Don't predator mites, spider predator mites only, they only feed on spider mites.
Yeah.
So if you put them in, it's a bit of a waste of money, because if there's no spider mite, they're going to die. Then what happens if a week later you get spider mite?
Well, the ones that we sell called Spickle Plus, and in those sachets there's an amount of sawdust, but there's also dead mites in there. So they've got a food source. So those predator mites, they're in the sachet, and that's why it's important to not rip open the sachet and just pour over your plant. Those predators will stay in the sachet until they need to go looking for food. So you put them on your plants. First few will go out looking for food. If they can't find anything, they might come back to the sachet or they'll die. Then the next set will go out looking for spider mites. You've just got a constant little army walking around your plant. But yeah, maybe people don't know that there's actually food source in those sachets. They're all dead, not to worry about. But it's also why you keep the hole. You don't increase the hole size because you just want your predators to get out and nothing else. And the last point she said is practice safe gardening. Avoid any artificial fertilizers, chemical pesticides, herbicides or fungicides. Main reason being is chemical or mineral fertilizers just tend to have everything ready to go. It leaches away quite easily, can be washed away by the rain, and you can drain your soil. So chemicals have high salt content. They can kill the microbes. If you're gardening outdoors, it is much better to use organic feed because you're feeding the soil. You're keeping the soil alive. If you feed chemically, you're just draining the soil, and eventually you'll have no soil left, no good quality soil to grow your plants in. And that was a good article by Anne Gibson. Yeah. So if you want to know more about growing organically, check that article out.
Who's next then, Steve?
Urbanfolds Beyond Organic. Now, this is the stats I was talking about before. Farmland, this is by, I said Urbanfolds, didn't I? Farmland that is certified organic represents less than 1% of all agricultural land in the US, and organic food makes up only 14.6% of all produce sold, according to 2016 numbers. So I don't know if it's just me, if that's a fact, I'm a bit confused by it. So organic land represents 1% of all agricultural land in the US, but an organic food makes up only 14.6% of all produce sold. Do you know what I mean? So 1% of organic land produces 14%.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense really, does it? Because 1% of the land produces 14% of the food.
Yeah. So that's one of those things.
So 99% of mineral land
produces roughly 85% of.
So if they knew that themselves, everyone would be growing organic.
I know. So we probably don't understand it. I probably don't understand the fact, but I tried to look it up. I couldn't really find much on it from 2016. But the organic industry is growing rapidly, mostly by health concerns. So people buying organic because they think it's more nutritional. I disagree with that. I think some organic food's more nutritional. I think some minerally grown food would be more nutritional or more nutritional density. There's another fact I think is that people bandy about, I don't think is correct, that food grown back in the day was more nutritionally dense than food grown today. Now that's like people go that disagree with me.
No, I agree with you.
Well, no, people think that a lot of the time people will say, it's on Twitter, all kinds, food grown in the 1950s is more nutritionally dense than it is today. But I can't exactly remember where I've seen it, but I've done the research on it, and it's not true. It's either they're equally nutritionally dense or it's actually more nutritionally dense today. It's just a bit of a weird one. It's with organics. You've got an organic crowd, haven't you? You've got the organic believers, and growing organic is not bad in any way, but some of the facts can be misinterpreted to get people to grow more organically. One of the points that he makes, and Urbanfolds does a good job of sort of looking over the whole organic issue debate quite well. He says we now have in brackets organic chicken CAFOs or CAFOs with 200,000 birds packed into environmentally controlled buildings, and organic dairy CAFOs with 15,000 cows crammed into feeding lots and large organic grain shipments being sold into the US with no documentation. So what is organic? Is it what they're fed on? Is it how they're treated? Is it how they're killed? What defines your food, your agriculture as being organic? Look into it, because different countries will have different certifications for what it means to be organic. So I think one of the best things you could do is buy free-range organic produce in terms of the meat that you buy, the chicken, the beef, the turkey. If it's free-range organic, it means it's being fed with organic inputs. It's being treated in a humane way. Free-range meaning it's got space. It's not being cramped in. So it's more organic than just what meets the eye. It's in bold there as well. I'll say that quote again for anyone that wants to talk about it or debate it. Farmland that is certified organic represents less than 1% of all agricultural land in the US, and organic food makes up only 14.6% of all produce sold, according to 2016 numbers. And Baddie is strutting around looking for something, going, keep going, if you're wondering what the weird silence is. Baddie, tell them, what are you looking for?
Any charges?
Baddie trying to get me to go on regardless. You just broke your earphones.
I think I've just made them organic
by sitting on them. So good
Sorry,
article
lad,
by.
It's
all right, quite okay. So Urbanfolds going beyond organic. And according to Pew Research study, of those who bought organic foods in the past month, 76% say a reason was to get healthier foods. That is a good up for debate topic.
The noise is all because of me.
Oh, he's got a plug behind him. Yeah. He's plugging in his phone. He's all guns blazing. It's never just simple, is it?
It's never simple, mate, but
I've got my phones here.
We do have... Yeah, man. Yeah, we do have a shop to run.
Yeah. Well, I've got my two phones here.
I have to keep my phone on just in case there's any problems or...
Okay. Moving on from Urbanfolds. Good article.
It's like a real podcast, this, isn't it?
Why?
It's just little interruptions and that. I love all that, mate.
Do you?
When you hear someone do a podcast, then it's all like, oh, yes, yes, and moving on. And I just think, fuck off, mate. That's not real.
That didn't happen. No, we make it easy for Coatsy. There's no real edits.
A little bang on the wall and all that. No, yeah. Again, yeah. Where are you, mate? And we're human. You know what I mean?
Next article by Doug Jacobs, Plantsterrin, all about mothers and cuttings. Now, this is a 3-page article. If you're interested in mothers, cuttings, that's what you do. That's what you enjoy doing. Yeah. This article, give it a read. Some of the points...
Who's it by again?
Doug Jacobs.
Doug Jacobs, I've heard of him.
Have you? He did
I don't know,
Plantsterrin
Brett is-
last week.
Yeah. We done it last week though, didn't we?
We did. Yeah, we did.
Did he copy us or did we copy him?
He gave us... well, we've been doing Plantsterrin for a while, from when Peter from CANNA, Peter Clausen, came and talked about Plantsterrin. And then he did the article and reminded me, we could do with a bit of a top-up of our Plantsterrin knowledge. So we did the podcast.
Nice.
His first sort of piece of advice is all about uniformity. When it comes to your mother stock propagation, if you can repeatedly grow identical plants, they can be steered from the start of cultivation for maximum production. So all subsequent inputs, such as your labour, the climate, environment, irrigation, can be optimised to deliver the highest quality plants time after time. Now he talks about the mother load, how to keep good source of mother stock, the essentials in creating uniform crops, from getting rooted cuttings, where you take them off the mother plant, how long you get the roots to develop for, all kinds. Keeping it homogeneous, keeping it even all the way through will give you the best chance of success with the cuttings in terms of yield and quality.
Yeah.
He talks about substrate volume. Now this I disagree with. I'll read it out. Select a substrate type to determine how much volume is needed for each plant and the ideal planting density. Mother plants are typically kept in large amounts of grow media, usually 5 to 25 gallon pots, and are watered infrequently, 1 to 4 times per day if they're lucky. I agree with that. Big pots, we recommend growing in soil. Having large mother plants in larger volumes of substrate has some benefits and drawbacks. More substrate helps buffer out the irrigation system, so if your system fails, you don't have time to water, having a large amount of soil will cut you some slack. But on the flip side, having large mother plants increases the risk of having a bad mom, spoiling a load of cuttings and reducing the yield of an entire crop. So he says use less grow media with a lot of space for root development. Make sure it's got good water holding capacity and EC control. And these factors allow irrigation to be used as a tool to steer manage the growth of your mother plant. Now this is the best thing, vegetative and generative growth. If you want your mother plants to grow faster, you need to implement a water strategy. That means that you've got higher water in the root zone, smaller dry backs between irrigations, and overnight you don't want the substrate to dry out. Using small shot sizes, high frequency of watering, and a low EC at the dripper or at the root zone. So for good mother plants, a large amount of soil, water it frequently but not so it's waterlogged. Don't let it dry out too much. Keep the EC low and try and water more frequently but with smaller amounts of water, and this will produce vegetative growth, lots of leaf, lots of stem, which is what you want from a mother plant. If you need to slow down growth, reduce stretching, be more generative, this is when you're coming into flowering. You decrease the amount of water in your root zone, increase the amount of dry back, so increase the dry periods in your root zone and your media. Decrease the irrigation frequency while increasing the volume, so you might start to only water every 3 days, but with 5, 10, 15 litres of water, and increase, obviously, the EC at the dripper and the root zone. So
you're sort of starving the plant, aren't you? So it can't grow.
Exactly. And that'll produce generative growth, more flower, less stretching. So depending on what you want your mother plant to do, you can achieve different results by watering with different feed intensities, different ECs, all kinds. The rest of the article is sort of hard to talk about briefly. He talks about propagation and doing sea of greens, tools and tricks. So one of the bullet points he's written is that not all cuttings are taken in one day. You can take an entire week to take all of the cuttings during a flush to keep mother plants in balance. So to sort of round up Doug's article, if you take cuttings from different parts of the plant, the top, the middle, the bottom, if you take them on different days, if you take some with a stem length of 3 inches and some with a stem length of 5 inches, if you take some with 5 leaves and you take some with 10 leaves, you're going to have different plants and they will need feeding differently. They will grow differently.
Am I right in saying that if you take cuttings from the bottom of the plant, they'll take longer to root, but they'll be a stronger plant?
Yeah.
If you take cuttings from the top of the plant, which is just like sort of being babied and it's had the light permanently, it'll root quicker but won't be a stronger plant.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So we tend to go for like it's good to go for around the middle of the plant.
Yeah.
Or if you do need them to root quickly, then you'll go to the top of the plant. If you need them to be hardy plants, you'll take them from the bottom plants, yeah. He goes on about irrigation, climate control. The whole article talks about uniformity. If when you've got your mothers, try and keep them as uniform as possible. When you take the cuttings, try and keep them to look exactly the same, because you'll just have much better success in the veg and in the flowering cycles later on if everything's uniform. You won't have some plants that are 6 foot, some plants that are 2 foot, some plants that are bushy, some plants that are thin. You want uniformity, and that way you can guarantee the best yield time after time.
Yeah.
So good article there by Doug on Plantsterrin. Now there's Albert Mondor did SANlight, edible plants on the beach. If you like edible plants, give that a read. Not something that we talk about on the podcast, but a good article. We had an article by Martina Kroll called Guerrilla Gardening Without Borders, helping people or talking about people that just grow wherever. I'm not going to go into the article too much, but I wanted to talk about something which she mentions in the article, and it's confirmation bias. It means how humans tend to see new information as confirmation of our existing beliefs or theories. In simple terms, we're so great at seeing patterns that sometimes we imagine ones that's not there. So she talks about guerrilla gardening.
What does she mean by that?
So in the article in general, it's where she's used it, and she's gone on to say that she walked by a bus stop near her house. She spotted evidence of a pattern of behaviour she's never noticed but's now seen everywhere, guerrilla gardening. Someone had put a young sunflower.
I've seen that in the magazine.
Yeah, by a bus stop.
And it wasn't by accident because it was strapped to the bus stop.
And so now she's thinking about guerrilla gardening, doing more of it. She's starting to see more of it. And it's confirming her bias that guerrilla gardening is a new and up-and-coming thing. But it's actually been there for ages. It's like when...
It's because she started to do it, she's noticing it now.
Exactly. Have you ever noticed, you're in the market for a van, yeah? Have you started to notice loads of vans on the road? Or more specifically, if you're in the market for a Mini Cooper, you see loads of them. If I'm like, when you got your car and we went out and I thought, yeah, it's lovely this. I started then to see loads of them cars everywhere. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? When you're
That's
into
just
something...
because you pick up. If you're not looking for it, you don't see it.
A little bit of confirmation bias. So confirmation bias is also a thing that people need to sort of get into their heads. When you believe something, you will find evidence to confirm your beliefs, confirm your bias. So when you've got a belief, you're biased, whether it's right or wrong, you're biased towards something, and you will gather information that confirms your bias because you want to be proven right. Very rarely do you pick out information that disagrees with your bias. So all the time, you're just collecting more and more information that confirms what you believe. Yeah. And it's not really a big part of this article. She's talking about protests, communities, guerrilla gardening, how to do it. But she just started off the article with confirmation bias, and it's a very interesting thing to get into. Next article is by Rich Hamilton, Organic Pest Control. So I'm going to read out the benefits. This was a good article. I enjoyed this. So it's the people who grow organically. There's a lot of prevention and cures out there with chemicals. Like you can go to the B&Q and pick up hundreds of bottles to get rid of white fly, green fly, mite, thrip, whatever pest you've got, there's a chemical thing to get rid of it. So what Rich has done is he's put together a list of organic plants or plants. They don't have to be organic, but it's good if they are. And you can alter these to piss off your pests. And I'm going to read out a couple. Capsaicin, which is basically pepper spray. Capsaicin is what gives hot peppers their heat, produced by pepper plants, and it's used to repel insects and animal predators. It's a good all-natural pest control for basically most predators. Cayenne pepper contains capsaicin, can repel ants, and when sprinkled as a powder, you can also make an insecticidal pepper spray using dried fresh hot peppers, vegetable oil, lecithin, and water. Lecithin is like a fatty substance. You can buy it from anywhere. He says, mix half a tablespoon of the spray concentrate with 1 pint of water, test spray onto a few leaves. Wait 24 hours to make sure that the potent spray doesn't cause any damage before applying the rest of the plant. he's put a pro tip: when growing indoors, it's best to use foliar sprays when the lights are off. Now, I'm not going to read out every single organic pest thing, but he talks about castor oil, cinnamon oil, limonene, milk. Milk's the only one that I was like, oh, milk's got can go bad, and I don't really like using milk, even though it does work. You can go wrong with it. Other ones are vinegar, coriander oil, clove oil, garlic, and tomato leaf. So all the ingredients are on there, how to make them's in there, and they all do work in their own little way. So check out that. That's by Rich Hamilton on page 54, the top 10 DIY organic pest and disease control remedies. Everest Fernandez, Just for Growers on YouTube, he says, don't start growing with organics.
Why?
Because, well, let's read out the first sentence. Novice growers typically overestimate the complexity of hydroponics. They also invariably underestimate the complexity of organics. They misconstrue hydroponics as for being geeks in lab coats, and organic gardening is the easy way to grow. Just plant in some soil, let Mother Nature do the rest. Good luck with that. His advice is to focus first on growing something full life cycle, get to the finish line, whatever way you can, and just get it done.
I'd have a little bit agree with him as well, though,
yeah.
Because, like you said before, about feeding the soil and making sure you know everything that's in that soil and it's a full living soil. If you don't know, what other people have got to remember is, if you are a novice grower and you don't know too much, you could go and buy the wrong soil. Like, I don't know, is it a John Innes from B&Q and see it? But then if you read the small print on that bag, it says not for human consumption. So that means it's for... It
could have heavy metals. It's meant for growing orchids.
And they could start putting all kinds of food, like plants in it and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
There's some plants out there.
And not realising, and yet they will do a full life cycle with it, but it's not meant for human consumption. So picking the right soil at the start
is a tough thing just in itself.
Is a tough thing just
in
itself.
To give you some real world indoor examples, you could buy all mix.
Or how long does it...
For a young plant.
Yeah, or how long does it take to compost your own soil before you can actually use it? It's a while,
a long time. Well, my mum and dad's always done it. They've got 2 big compost bins. I've done it since I was like a baby. I always remember them.
And the grass clippings and everything going in.
So the potato shavings, carrot shavings, just waste, garden vegetable waste. No, you can't ever put animal products in the animal matter. Just always got to be plant matter. Put it in there, put the lid on. If you find worms, throw them in there. They'll break it all down. And it takes, for good compost, I think it takes years, to be honest with you, to break it down properly and to become a good quality compost. I think it takes years. But yeah, what you've just said there, I don't know the types of plants, but let's just say tomatoes. There's certain plants that people are planting around the world to remove heavy metals from the soil, because that's what they do. They're brilliant to plant out heavy metals.
That like heavy metals.
Yeah, and they're not edible, or they might be edible, but they wouldn't eat them. And they just want to strip the soil out of the bad heavy metals. So they plant loads of these plants, strip the soil, and they're cleaning the soil for them. Yeah. Now, let's say tomatoes are one of these plants. If you grew a tomato in a pot mix that was meant for ornamentals, if you're growing ornamentals, then you're not really bothered if it's got heavy metals in there.
No, because it's ornamental.
It's ornamental. You're not going to eat it.
Nice.
So if you plant tomatoes and it loves eating these heavy metals, then you're going to produce tomatoes with lots of heavy metals. And obviously, you know the consequences of heavy metals. One of the main ones is it can lead to an increased rate of Alzheimer's. So there's real consequences for not looking after your food and
so
where you get from
as a novice, you're probably better at doing some sort of mineral grow first. Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah, definitely. With organics, you've got to know about microbes. You've got to be introducing microbes, because the plant pulls microbes in and it attracts microbes by giving out plant exudates, it's called. So it pushes out sugars through the roots to attract bacteria. The bacteria break down the food and make it available for the plant. You can introduce microbes to help with the organic breakdown, but it's tough. Organic growing isn't easy by any stretch of the imagination. Just doing it. If you really want to get into growing, if this is the first podcast that you listen to, or one of the first, and you just want to grow a plant, then hand feeding There's some CANNA A and B, because by far it's the best base nutrients for ease of use and simplicity. Bit of CANNA A and B, bit of rhizotonic, small rhizotonic. And then if they're a flowering plant or an edible plant that produces a fruit, bit of PK in there if you want to boost at the end. Do you know what I mean? Nice, simple recipe. You can't mess it up, and you'll get some produce at the end of it, and then start tinkering with organics. I mean, but I do agree with Everest as well, not to just start off growing organics. If you are a seasoned organic grower, he's got some brilliant DIY soil recipes: base pot and mix, back guano, seabird guano, bone meal, potassium sulfate, dolomite lime, feather meal, azomite, kelp, alfalfa, blood meal, calcium phosphate, everything you need to build up a great organic soil to grow lovely plants. And that's Everest's input into it. Yeah, don't start with organics if you're new to growing organics. Next one was Rich Hamilton, Sacrificial Plants. This is an outdoor sort of article. Very good. It's all about what you should plant. If you're growing whatever you're growing, whatever your plant or herb is, I'll give you an example. He says that mint will attract pests away from carrots, tomatoes, alliums and brassicas, and deter flea beetles. There's things like mint, garlic, lavender, wormwood, calendula, sage, borage, thyme. Probably said loads of those wrong, but there's loads of plants that you can plant around your main crop to attract all the pests. Yeah, and it's a really good organic way. So you don't even have to spray anything. You just plant all the plants that are tastier to these pests, and they'll attract them away from what you want to do. Rich Gellert did condensate reclamation, water conservation for sealed hydroponic environments. Very good article. Not something that you can just briefly go over, but that's on page 72. And I'll just read out the excerpt from it. The explosive growth of hydroponics can be traced to improvements in technology and efficiencies, as well as ample decentralized indoor space for year-round harvesting. And what he's doing is this is part of the organic episode, because you can reclaim the condensate. So did you know that plants, if you give your plants 100 litres of water, they are transpiring up to 95 litres back into the environment? So they transpire a hell of a lot of water back into the environment. So that's where your condensation comes from. You can reclaim that with dehumidifiers, or with the ways he gives you in this article. You're going to be much more efficient. The condensate is basically RO water, so you're working with really clean water. I'd say it's a good way to try and be more sustainable, and more environmentally friendly.
Constantly.
Exactly. Jess Singer did an article on mood boosting plants. So the scents and eating them can help with your mood. Making nutrient-rich compost tea is the next article by Catherine Sheriffs. Jess Singer did hemp. It's so much more than you think. Basically, this article talks about hemp and the difference between hemp and CBD. So just to give you a little bit of an insight into this article, hemp is derived from the cannabis sativa species, and it contains a psychoactive component, tetrahydrocannabinol, THC. However, the hemp strain contains much lower levels of THC, higher levels of cannabidiol, CBD, which all but eliminates the psychoactive effects. So she talks about the history of hemp, what it's good for, the history of CBD, CBD use today, and hemp versus CBD. Now, our last little sort of point on here is that it seems like everyone and their mother is making predictions on the market value of hemp and CBD. So numbers vary depending on who you ask. But some of the numbers I researched predict the industrial hemp market will reach 15 billion by 2027, and the CBD market will smash 20 billion mark by 2024. Big industry to be getting into. There's a debate, and the reason I'm glancing over some of these articles is because we could just do a whole podcast on hemp and CBD, which we will do. So we're going to come back to this article. So that's by Catherine Sheriffs. It's on page 80. It's on page 80. And it's a 4-page article, so a very good article about the difference between hemp, CBD, what hemp's used for, and why it was made illegal. Made illegal because of the cotton trade. Yeah. Because hemp takes up less. It needs less land to grow more. And the cotton industry was much more lucrative to the cotton farmers, make them more money. So they essentially criminalised everything to do with cannabis, and hemp got it in the neck as well. And then Catherine Sheriffs does cover crops. Caroline Rivard did wild violet weeds, tasty medicinal gems, and all about the recipes and what you can do with them. And there was the Who's Grown What Way. So good. I'm just flicking through the back, seeing if there's anything else. Good addition on organics.
I think we could do about 10 episodes.
Just
10
on the
podcasts,
articles.
just
That's
on-
why I don't
just
like...
on organics. You feel like you're missing people out and you're not reading the full articles, but
It's just to give you the taste of the
could.
magazine.
you just need to get the magazine and read it and follow these people that are in the magazine.
Follow
writing
them.
for them.
Follow the social medias. Look at what's interesting to you. The reason we started...
But I do like organics.
Yeah.
I do.
But I think there's some... What we're going to do is we're going to do our own organic podcast. So we've got a book there. Actually, it's in the back of this magazine. And I bought it a while ago, but it's massive. It's the Organic Grow book by Carol. I should have really learned how to say these names before I just decided to shout them out. Carol Shelfhout and Mikhail Panhusen. The Organic Grow book. And that's done by Mama Publishing. That's in the back of the magazine. Yeah. That's a brilliant book. I've dipped in and out of it. I'm going to read that as in depth as I can, do some organic research, and I might even get some representatives from CANNA to talk about the bio range, BioBiz to talk about their organic range, and just get a bit of an organic podcast going. But debates, I'm going to leave you with some thoughts. I want you to, if you can, disagree with me, agree with me, send them in on Instagram to @NPK Podcast. Can organic gardening, farming, agriculture, can it feed the world?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Is it more nutritional? Do you get more nutrients from organically grown crops? The science would say yes and no. Some crops, yes. Some crops, no. Is it better for the planet to grow organically? 100% yes. So be careful of the arguments people make for growing organically. Some are on the fence. Some arguments are not founded in any good science. If you're growing organically for the environment, that's a very good reason. And I am a fan of growing organically. It feels better.
Yeah.
I can understand why people say it tastes better and it's more nutritional because
Maybe
you feel
that's
like it
a
is.
bias thing because they taste it and they think I've grew that myself.
Yeah,
and it's full
yeah.
organic and it tastes nice.
Or when you pay £2 instead of £1 because it's organic.
I told you I grew tomatoes in the garden, and I grew tomatoes, Scotch bonnets, I grew everything, strawberries, everything. And I picked all my tomatoes, put them in the bowl in the house, give them a bit of a clean, put them in the bowl in the house. And about 2 days later, my bird done a salad. And he ate it, and it was fucking lovely. And she went, "Did you like that?" I went, "Yeah." She went, "They were the tomatoes out the garden." And I thought, wow. I don't know whether I like it even more now.
Yeah.
Like, I've ate the tomatoes, I've grew myself and stuff like that. I had curry the other night with Scotch bonnets in it.
Did you?
Listen, it was hot. Yes, someone come to my house and said to me, no, all my Scotch bonnets were bright green. And I said, "Do you reckon they're going to ripen up?" He said, no, you won't get them to ripen up. And they went, "Listen, lad, you should have seen the size of them. I'd well looked after them." But what I noticed was the plant just stopped. And I thought, that's weird that. I tested the runoff in it and everything, and it just came to a stop and started to yellow out. But the Scotch bonnets were still bright green, but they've ripened off. They went the yellowy colour, orangey colour, now listen, I've picked them all now. They're all bright red, deep red. They've gone and like a bit crinkly. Yeah, oh, listen, potent like fire. I was made up with them.
Nice. I didn't get an
strawberry
invite
plants,
to the curry night at
my strawberry
Basil's.
plants didn't really do a lot, to be fair.
No, they do take a couple of years, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because you do it from seed, didn't you?
Everything from seed.
Yeah,
I did get strawberries on them, but there wasn't a great deal for the size of the plants, and I half expected it anyway.
Have you kept them for next summer?
Yeah, I've kept them.
Yeah.
Pruned them all back.
Nice. So next year it's strawberries and cream at Basil's for Wimbledon.
Yeah, and do you know what I've done? I had a 10-litre pot, and I had the tomato plants in it, and I trimmed it all right back, and I put it at the side of my shed. And when I went the other day, it's got about 15 more tomatoes on it, and I thought, wow, it's just like Aggie plant that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I picked them again.
You can thank the bumblebees for that,
Yeah.
for pollinating them and all the insects out there. So don't use chemical pesticides outdoors because your plants won't get pollinated. I was actually at Plantasia a couple of weeks ago.
Do you know what I used on all of them? Organic as Budbox.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, it done well.
Yeah.
It done well. Yeah.
Nice. 99% organic. Clear something up on that point. People say, how is it organic if it's 99% organic? Well, the 1% that he uses to keep it all stabilised is, I might be wrong, it's something like a citric acid. And you can't claim that citric acid is organic for some reason. So that's the 1% in that bottle, so it's 99% organic. So people go, oh, it's not properly organic. It's only citric acid that he's added. They go, what's the other 1%? Well, that is to keep the whole formulation stable. So if you do use Budbox, and you want to grow organic,
I'd say it was organic. 100%.
Organic is a good product.
I didn't even know that.
That's just a one-off product, though. If you need the full range, you've got CANNA, the bio range. Yeah. And if you've got BioBiz as well, they've got the full range of organics. There's plenty of choice out there for you. Basil?
It's been emotional.
It's been organic. What an organic conversation this has been.
Yeah.
Very natural.
Yeah, I like it.
And we will be back next Sunday. There won't be as much. So just to wind up today's episode, we have missed 2 to 3 weeks, but there's been reasons. We'll tell you a bit more about those reasons. Like, we've had the sniffles. We didn't want to sit next to each other. We're being very safe.
And to be honest with you, the country's back on lockdown for 6 months in different ways. Not as bad as the first lockdown, but there has been rules implemented, hasn't there? And who knows what the future holds. Let's hope it stays the way it is for the next 6 months, and let's hope it doesn't get any worse, and everyone stays safe. Stay safe.
Keep your hands away from your face. Wash your hands. Don't go out. But if you do have to go out by yourself. If you can't go out by yourself, go out in less than numbers of 22. Yeah. If you've got to be out in numbers of more than 22, make sure they're under 100.
And if you're going out, don't go out in.
But don't go out.
If you need the toilet, don't go to the toilet, hold it in. But if you have to hold it in, go to the toilet.
Yeah, and wash your hands. But if you can't wash your hands, don't wash your hands.
And if you don't know the happy birthday song, count to 20. And if you can't count to 20, don't wash your hands. Just wash them when you get a chance.
So hopefully we've cleared everything up for you there. NPK Live Podcast, keeping it clear since 2014. See you all next week.
In a bit.
Take care. Bye-bye.